So this video is about what I like and dislike about Charlotte. All right, so I'm gonna get what I dislike about Charlotte out of the way. You see what I'm saying? So we can get to the stuff that I like about it. Okay, what I dislike about Charlotte is the way it sits in the state of North Carolina. So for those that don't know how Charlotte sits, it sits right on the edge, the state line of North Carolina and South Carolina. Now, I don't have a problem with being on the edge of the state line, on the end of the state line or whatever have you. It's just that we are more inland than coastal. So, you know, to get to a beach like Myrtle Beach, it's like about 3.5 hours, which is not that bad, you know. But if you were living in somewhere like Raleigh, it would take you to get to Wrightsville Beach, which is like in like around Wilmington, North Carolina. It'll take you about 2 hours. To get to Myrtle Beach, it'll take you about 2.5 hours because you can take I forgot what highway, but it goes through small towns like Clayton and Smithfield. It'll take you straight to 95, and you take 95 straight on down. And it takes, like, I know because I used to live in Raleigh, it takes probably about 2.5 hours, an hour less, 45 minutes to an hour less to get there. So it's not a coastal city. It's not near the coast, Charlotte that is. It's more near the mountains, you know, in Tennessee. And believe it or not, Georgia sits like right next to North Carolina too. So it's nothing for you to get to Georgia. Not so much in Atlanta, because you know Atlanta's like in the middle. But I'm saying just to get to the state line in Georgia, it doesn't take that long to get there. What else don't I like? Of course, the traffic. Charlotte is growing, and I don't know how they're gonna be able to do it, but they definitely have to widen Highway 77. Now they do have Highway 77 widening up around Huntersville. It starts like around Uptown on up to Huntersville, and they have toll lanes, you know what I'm saying, express lanes, you know, and then it widens like right when you get, so like right from Uptown all the way down to Carowinds, the state line that says welcome to South Carolina. It starts to widen from there, like Rock Hill. So in between that, you got like 3 lanes. And you know, before this coronavirus thing happened, you know, 77 is always backed up. Always. I'm not lying, like every day. And it used to be a time, like years ago, it used to be a time where there were certain times that 77 got backed up. Now that there has been an influx of people, it's never empty. Ever. It's always backed up, even on Sunday. 485, the same thing. So 77 takes you straight through, you know, Charlotte. It takes you straight through the heart of Charlotte. 277 takes you around Uptown. That gets crowded too. And 485 takes you around the whole city of Charlotte. That gets crowded too. That's a complete circle. 485, it's a complete circle. And 77 goes straight down Charlotte, and 277 is a complete circle. It goes around Charlotte, and of course Highway 85, it goes straight through Charlotte as well. What else do I dislike? The crime is not as bad as it is in other bigger cities, but the crime here, it's like, it seems as though things could just pop off at any given moment. I don't like to be like somewhere and then boom, it pops off. I just don't like that. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, I'm just being real. Like, most of the time Charlotte is a real chill place, but when, you know, SHIT hits the fan, it hits the fan. I remember, and I'm not gonna say the guy's name, you know, me and him are cool and everything worked out for him. You know, he's living a good life now, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, when I first got here, the first time I lived in Charlotte, which was about 2009, 2010, I got here and I was selling oils, incense and stuff like that. I was like a street vendor. So I used to go to this little it was like a strip mall. It had for grocery store, Food Lion, Dollar General, barbershop and all that stuff. It was a black area. It's right off of Sunset. It was in between Sunset Road and Betty's Ford. People that know that live here know what I'm talking about, that know the area, right? So, I befriended a dude that sold bootleg movies. Make long story short, it was another dude that sold bootleg movies. They got into altercations and stuff like that, and I didn't know it was that serious until, the dude that I was cool with, he had, at the time, I didn't have no license and everything, so he was dropping me off at home, and we just got real cool. So he had showed me in his glove compartment, he was like, yo, you keep on messing with me, I'm gonna shoot him. Make long story short, he was supposed to pick me up one day. I wound up renting the car. The mother of my children and I wound up renting a car. I couldn't rent it because I ain't had no license. So, I told him, I had some errands to run and I'll be there soon. It was a Saturday afternoon. I'll never forget it. Pulled up, papers everywhere. Looked further down. The dude that sold bootleg movies that didn't get along with my friend was on the floor, bullet holes in his mouth, his arm, leg. He was messed up pretty bad. I go to call my man. He tells me he shot him and everything, and I'm stunned. So I'm caught in the middle of this. So things, to make the long story short, things can happen at any given time. I mean, the rapper, the baby, he shot and killed somebody in Walmart. So things can happen at any given time, anywhere. Whether it's in good areas such as Ballantyne, Huntersville, the Noda area, South Park, the list goes on. So the crime is not as bad as bigger cities, but I don't like the crime. I don't think anybody loves crime. So that's a no-brainer. What else do I dislike about Charlotte? Charlotte has some good weather in comparison to the northern states. You will get your 60s and 70-degree weather here and there, like around January, February. It's like, wow, what? It's hot, but it's not Florida. You know what I'm saying? And I love hot weather. And some of y'all may be like, yo, man, you just being picky. Well, I like what I like. You see what I'm saying? I like what I like. I mean, you gonna hate me for that? So it's the weather I don't like. I don't like winters. I hate winters. You know what I'm saying? And some people may sit back and say, well, it sounds like you have somewhat of a New York accent or whatever. Did you ever live in New York? Yes, I was born in New York. I've lived, my younger years in New York. I moved back to New York and lived there when I was 19 with my father. And then I went back again when I was in my late 20s. So true. I mean, I remember when I was younger, it would snow and we would have to dig up. We had a duplex. We lived in a duplex, right? We had to open up the window upstairs, climb out of the window, drop down and dig ourselves out in order to open the door downstairs and dig ourselves out. That's how much it snows in New York like that. You see what I'm saying? But straight up, I never got used to the weather. I never did. So for those that are coming from cold areas like Chicago, Detroit, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, I mean, it's gonna be summertime to you all in January, February. Very rarely does it get down to 19, 20 degrees. We don't get that. The winters are short here. Even though I don't like the weather. I mean, it can get cold and it can snow. But for the most part, we start getting cold weather around like November, and it stops around like around. It starts to tinker off around like late March, early April. For the most part, like when it hit May, from May to about the end of September, it's 80s, 90s, 100. So I don't particularly care for the weather. What else? What else can I think of? I think that's about it. I really do think that's about it. Now, on to what I like about Charlotte. Charlotte is a new city. I mean, of course, I came here years ago when they first did the Panther Stadium, and it was buildings, but it wasn't a lot. You know, you could see that they were like slowly but surely developing. Plus, I was young, you know, so I really didn't look at it on a business level, you know. But for the most part, Charlotte is a new city. It's a new city, so everything is clean and new, and they're building. I mean, this city seriously, I give this city, Charlotte, I give it like 2-3 years. It's gonna be pretty big. It's gonna be a pretty big city. It's big now. It's definitely bigger than Atlanta. Now, I know what y'all gonna say. You're gonna be like, well, how was that? I'm talking about the city of Atlanta. When people talk about Atlanta, I continue to say this. This is like the thousandth time I'm gonna say this. People include Sandy Springs, cities like Sandy Springs, Alpharetta, Kennesaw, College Park, East Point, Decatur, Dunwoody, these are Alpharetta, these are Marietta, these are surrounding cities. It is not Atlanta. It's Metro Atlanta. Atlanta the city, Charlotte is way more bigger than Atlanta the city. Now, is Charlotte's downtown or skyline bigger than the Atlanta's? No, it's not. It's not. But they're getting there. They're building. I mean, all you see is scaffolds all in the uptown. So they're building. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that I like about Charlotte too is race relations. Like, so, you know, of course, gentrification is going on everywhere, but here is kind of like different. It's somewhat similar to Atlanta. So like you may, in a positive way, it's somewhat similar to Atlanta. So you may, you know, live in this high-rise condo, right? And you'll walk around the corner and it'll be the black neighborhood. Now, the odd thing about it is somehow, some way, they all get along. The rich folks and the poor folks, they all get along. Black people know white people know black people. Black people hang out with white people hang out with black people. It's nothing to go to a neighborhood. I've seen it in the hood, and see black people and white people together, and they're cooking out. It's nothing to see that. So race relations is good here. Even though, you know, police brutality, there have been black men shot and killed here, it's still overall, besides the police force and all of that, in which I still feel somewhat safe. I mean, I get tense when a cop gets behind me. CMPD, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department. I still get kind of tense, but I get tense whenever any cop gets behind me. But to a certain degree, I still feel a little safe. You know, I mean, you know, nothing. I've never experienced anything bad, you know, in Charlotte, with the exception of, like I said, in the very beginning when I got here, like in 2009, I got pulled over and I didn't have a license and they took me to jail. And I explained that to you all. Like, I wasn't trying to say that I was institutionalized or nothing like that, but I've been to several jails and they treated me good. Like, they had flat screen TVs, we had Doritos and famous Amos cookies and sandwiches. I'm like, yo, is this a hotel? You know what I'm saying? They normally when you're in a holding cell, they close the doors on you. They left the doors open. I'm like, yo, what is this? We got to get up and go to the bathroom. I'm like, what is this? We could walk over to the phones and make a phone call. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But besides, you know, that and everything, race relations are good here. Everybody is mad cool. That's another thing I like about Charlotte. The people are mad cool, laid back, and everything. You're not gonna get, you know, your racist white people here. You're just not. I mean, you have a few, but not too many. Mostly, you're gonna see a whole bunch of millennials. You go down South Boulevard, you in South Park, and you know you around Uptown, Dilworth, Plaza Midwood, you know, Noda, all those areas, nothing flooded but millennials all in that area. But then it's black people all in that area too. You know, it's like the good thing about Charlotte, man, is that everybody seems to get along and everybody's cool. One more thing before I get off this video. Overall, I like Charlotte. Will I live here for the rest of my life? The only deal breaker for me is the weather. That's it. The weather and just the beach. I want to be closer to the beach, and I want to have warm weather year long. But if I didn't want that, yes, I would stay here for the rest of my life. So overall, I like Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? One more thing. I forgot to mention this, because if y'all move here, y'all gonna be like, yo, Langston, you never told me this. The people cannot drive here, but if you're from a bigger city, you should know that. You know that. I mean, I've lived in Atlanta. People from Atlanta definitely can't drive. I've visited Miami several times, and people in Miami definitely can't drive. So if you like to be in a decent size, live in a decent sized city, but then also if you like the suburbs, the trees, and all the rest of that stuff, Charlotte has what you want. It's a big little city, if you understand where I'm coming from. Like, it's not as big as New York, but it's still not small. So you come here and you have entertainment here. You have the NASCAR, you have Carolina Panthers, the Charlotte Hornets, you have Whitewater Park, you have Freedom Park, you have the Noda District, you have Plaza Midwood, you have festivals. They're always throwing something at Freedom Park. It is so much to do. You got South Boulevard, where you just walk through there. You don't even need a car. And, you know, the train is right there too. So they have restaurants, bars, clubs, and then you also have Uptown that has restaurants, bars, and clubs. So, man, you know, Charlotte is a pretty swanky city. So, you know, I highly recommend it. Other than that, I hope I've been, you know, of some help, you know, in your efforts in moving here. I would tell you, I mean, even though the coronavirus thing is going on, I would still move here if I had the money and you know, I had somewhat of stability, plus I had a job. You know what I'm saying? I definitely would move here, because it's not, everything is shutting down and everything, but still people still working, everything is still functional to a certain degree. Other than that, I'm gonna get out of here, man. I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share this video.